Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero. Our guest today is Rudy Reyes. He is a certified badass. He was a Recon Marine, and by the way, those guys deserve way more props than they often get for the skills, the grit, and the preparedness they bring right to the front of a mission. Now he's an actor and a fitness guru, and he's in the kind of shape where he can wake up ice cold and run a sub-4-hour marathon. And while I'm not saying he would want to do it with a 70-pound ruck on his back, he sure doesn't look like it would slow him down much. He sits down with Pete and Scott Huesing and special guest Navy SEAL Jeff Gum, whose company is called Sungalife, and they make some great clothes, so you might want to check them out too. In the meantime, please enjoy our guest today, Rudy Reyes.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Jordan Harbinger.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan East.
Sebastian Younger.
This is Rick Marotta.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
Hey, this is Skunk Baxter.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
My name is Rudy Reyes. I am veteran and now conservationist, and I'm with the Break It Down show, and we're going to freaking knock it out of the park.
And now, the Break It Down show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
You know, we were talking about this before we even started recording, and introduce your
Such a good dude. My boy Jeff Gum, strong young man, had some trials and tribulations of just his youth and childhood. Poured all that passion into becoming a SEAL, great SEAL, an instructor, an operator, a mentor. And how I found Jeff is through Kyle Maynard. I watched Real Sports 10 years ago with Kyle Maynard. He's a brother who's a world-class wrestler with no arms and legs. No limits. No limits. They're best friends. I've been following Kyle forever. Another great SEAL brother, Mitch Frog, and another brother of mine in Virginia Beach, Jeff Nichols. It was all birds of a feather. And next thing you know, we're all together, and I find out this guy's doing clothing, he's doing business, and I love clothing and fashion. Even though I always wear the same shit, it's because I believe a man has got to have a style. Fashion comes and goes, but style is something that...
But like your go-to style is tiny shorts. That's it.
And it's doing well for me. I'd say, at least in my opinion.
We got Rich in with this, so, you know, he's the human bullshit meter, so if Rudy starts, you know, we got to bring him grounded. That's what's cool is we keep each other grounded, especially in this. But what we were talking about earlier in the show was, like, Kaj was just here, he left. You know, we're all kind of social media.
Sure.
We're LinkedIn, and it's this 2 degrees of separation,
very much
especially
so.
within this
Maybe
community.
even 1 degree now.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, we're right there. Just like we chewed same dirt over there, we're in the same same battlefields now. Yeah. Battlefields of being financially independent, because that creates choices and possibilities, and positive mental attitude. I've changed PMA. You know, PMA is a big thing, positive mental attitude. I speak now on positive mental attention. So I'm very attentive.
What's the difference? What's the difference between attitude and attention?
I think attention is
laser focus versus
I think
general.
We start with general, like we do with our workouts. We do big body movements, and then we get into very specific stuff, and that's how we can go hard in one direction.
I'd say like using your attitude to execute.
Well said, bro.
And push it out throughout the world, throughout your community and throughout the world.
Well said. This is why I vibe with Jeff so much. One of the most positive young men. And
did I call you Rich?
You did call him Rich.
Well, he's rich in spirit.
I have a horrible memory. I think I may have taken a few.
Explosive. You ate too many bangs.
I am so bad. The best though is Matt.
The whole show.
No, Mark Patterson. I'm doing an NFL legend. I'm like, I call him Matt the whole show, and then awesome. I sign a book for him. It's got to be your thing. I signed a book for him to Matt. I'm like, I'm a complete fucking idiot.
I love it.
Yeah, I got it. Whatever.
Beautiful. Yeah, ate 1 too many bangs. Right, fired 1 too many AT4s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes, man, it's so rad. I've come a long way in a short amount of time, really since Force Blue. And before Force Blue, I started making a little bit of money. I did not have any work coming in, and I got out of contracting, mostly because I loved the people I was fighting for and fighting with. I was fighting with the Kenyan Wildlife Service doing counter poaching and their commandos for counter-terror against Al-Shabaab. But some of my teammates were now professional, long-term contractors. They were not like us anymore. They were Semper I, not Semper Fi. And where in our old world, everyone's striving to absolutely be the best because the rising tide lifts all ships. There, if you work too good and you do too much and you're too fired up, then the other cats that have been coasting on that train, that gravy train, they have to work. They get pissed off, and then they'll motherfuck you behind your back and stuff like that. And so I got out of that. I didn't know what to do. I can't work indoors. I was over personal training and anything that had to do with the fitness business. I didn't have the patience after I had been teaching and training combatives and leading very poor people in combat to come back here, regardless if it was $200 an hour I was making. I did not have the patience for the ambient casual attitude up here. And I had some really hard struggles with drugs, alcohol, and violence. Although I was a kickboxing champion, a Sanshao champion, and martial artist my whole life, I never fought in the street until about 8-10 years ago when I started derailing a little bit. But I come to realize I was actually just going through normal shit that everybody goes through when you've been a professional warlord.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, because I definitely identify with that. I was working in the contract security world.
Oh, so you understand what I'm saying?
And I got tired of lethality. I got tired of threat. And I remember one of my big moments was I was on a surveillance contract, and we got our briefing pre-deployment.
Sure.
And we're going to be in the States, looking at folks from Asia, we'll say.
Okay.
And we get our briefing, and it's focused on Germany. And I'm like, are we going to go back to like November 17 in the old days? No, it was radical Islam in Germany. And I'm like, this is had nothing to do.
Well, I think everybody, you're such a great example of this too, Rudy. It's like the Marine Corps, I always say this, is, the Marine Corps was a big part of who I am. I think it developed my character. I was a complete fuck up as a kid, barely made it out of high school with a see if you can top this, 1.24 GPA. You got me?
Mine was a little better than that.
All right.
But,
and you are smart, man, because this guy will drop some words out of his lexicon, blow your mind. And for a guy who puts words together for a living, thank you. Oh, I stole that from Rudy.
Thank you, brother.
Even using the word lexicon.
Thank you, my brother.
I think, those experiences are a big part of who I am, but they don't really define me as a person, because I always knew I wanted to do more. And I think you're really a good example of this aspect of you're continuing to evolve. And
that's right.
I'm going to steal what you just said, is changing attitude to attention. And instead of using the word transition, is evolve. I don't think you have to transition. You don't have to completely reinvent yourself as a veteran when you move out of the teams or recon or infantry or the army.
Yep.
You just continue to do what you love and apply all those things.
I cannot agree with you more, brother.
So that's why I love having him, because he agrees with everything I say.
Thank you, brother. Well, it's so true.
But Rudy, tell me and tell everybody listening to this episode what that one singular moment was where something sparked in you and you said, I'm going to get into this field. And it doesn't have to be fitness. It could be, let's just say, in the entertainment business.
Sure.
Because it is a business.
It is a business.
What was that spot?
It's so wild. It's so wild because I grew up very poor, and I grew up in different relatives' houses, and then in foster care, and then in Omaha home for boys. I was taught by my poor Latin culture, my poor Mexican-American culture from where I came from, to not trust money or not trust business people, because all they're doing is stealing from us, and that's why we're poor. My mother was very racist towards white people, and that was her experience growing up on the border, and so she really ingrained this fear. And yet, as we got poorer and poorer, my mother was a drug addict, and everything has to do with other people hurting her as opposed to taking any responsibility. And I had no father. My father never came back to see me from Vietnam. And I thought, well, at least athletics is something I can excel in. And I was also a painter and an illustrator. I can excel in those things. Why I did not do well in school in academics after a while is because I had zero support, and I was still taking care of my little brothers. And it was all I could do to get my work done, because I was also working and training. In a sense, looking back, I was in battle with my PTSD of my youth. Sports and focused aggression and learning from the movies we watched when we were a kid, learning from John Rambo and Rocky, and watching John Wayne movies with Rudy Reyes Sr., who's the father that gave me his name. These were the examples, and I read comic books, and I knew that there was something to being a hero as being the ultimate of being a man. And when the Marine Corps gave me an opportunity to go absolutely harder than I even knew possible in pursuit of manhood, there was nothing I wanted more. When I got into entertainment and first personal training, holy moly, my first job after the Marine Corps was teaching at the Encinitas Boxing Club for $20 a class, of course, overachiever. I taught 7 classes a day, 6 days a week, and I led every workout, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Damn, I was fit, but I was still fit from recon. And remember when we're operational, it's another level, and our age hadn't caught up with us yet, hadn't caught up with me. I still didn't know anything about money. I still gave it all away to everybody that needed it, especially my family that was poor and not very responsible. I had client. Okay, so $20, right?
Yeah.
But then the rich folks over in Rancho Santa Fe got wind of this rad, wild trainer. You know what I mean? Running 100 miles an hour with the hair on fire. And then I got offered my first job doing personal training, and it was for $100 an hour. So I was like, wowzers. Then, inside of 1 year, I couldn't have, there was no blocks of time. So I said, okay, maybe I'll train you for $200 an hour because I have no more time. No one's going to want to hire me for $200 an hour. Shit, yeah. All of them hired me. All of the trophy wives hired me. I got a Jaguar vehicle for a present. I mean, it was pandemonium in the ring. And I still had no idea really what business was about or what money was about. And then I was rescued, in a sense, or I had a stay of execution by going to Generation Kill and HBO. I got to redo my war and put off me dealing with everything that I'd been carrying my whole life and had become exacerbated from my intense, beautiful experience of warrior culture and sacrifice of war, and then the complete absence of my brothers back here. I had nothing back here. And then when I started hanging out with my boys again, it was wrapped up around partying and getting fucked up instead of what we used to do. Runs from runs, hit the gym, and I'd do anything to be with him. And then pretty soon I was down and out. And then I went to contracting thinking that would fill the void. It did not. And self-destruction eventually led to me losing the rights to see my son. And then there was no cash and no money. I was very close to suicide. I had my pistol in my mouth. Well, the first thing I was thinking about, and this is heavy, but it's the truth. First thing, I was thinking about kidnapping my son and going to the Far East and raising him as long as I could until Interpol caught up with me and killed me. And then I thought, well, what if it goes down like that and my son gets hit? And then that's when I decided, well, there's really nothing to live for. I'd never been in court before in my life. I'd never been arrested. And now I have like 8 bailiffs in the courthouse, and they're all watching me. And I'm thinking, Rudy Reyes, how have you fallen so far? You know, you were the team leader of the unit, and you did Trojan horse. You freaking, under the cover of darkness, climbed bridges and wired them for explosives, and you did all this, and now here you are, looked at as a criminal. And then I spent a year in a mental institution for veterans like us, and it was called the Veterans Village of San Diego. I had a great therapist there, but it was so hard. Most of the people there had only done maybe a few months of service, or I think you could even rate the program if you had not even finished boot camp, and it was mostly drug addicts and thieves. And again, and I'm having to check in, drug test every week, have to stand in formation and with a bunch of people that were just not my caliber. It was real hard on the self-esteem, but somehow I kept driving on. It wasn't until Force blew. And how that happened is a brother I worked with, Jim Ritteroff, on a television series in the past, saw me, bumped into me in the streets of New York City, probably 155 pounds, very, very underweight. And he said, Rudy, you need to come diving with me. And I'm like, brother, I don't have any money. Well, I have a father-daughter trip coming, and my daughter's just graduating high school, and she's going to go to college. Let me talk to my family, and I'll see if we can scrape it together. It brings me down to Cayman Islands. I meet my other co-founder, Keith Somm, who is the Coast Guard rescue swimmer that the Guardian movie is based on.
Oh, wow.
He's the Kevin Costner.
Yeah.
And he gives me a suite at this really premier diving resort. And when I saw underneath the ocean these beautiful communities, and I had spent all this time in amphibious warfare, but I never had any time to appreciate the beauty, right?
Right.
My boys, Jim and Keith, said, well, this is all going away, Rudy. The shipping and the cruise liner industries are crushing all the reefs. There's a whole ecological tidal wave that's hitting the planet. And I said, wait a second, because it inspired me again to see these freaking animals and to see these communities. I'm like, wait a second, we got to do something about this. And at first I thought, I'll get my guys together and we can set up explosives on these ships and harbors and blow them up.
Yes.
And my boys are like, pump the brakes, dog. Yeah. Pump the brakes. And then we started talking about it. Well, I said, well, what if we got some guys, all the guys together, and we started doing some training so we could help the scientists. And that was it. That is what started this whole trajectory. Also, I'm very spiritual, and I know God's been taking care of me my whole life. And I've been fighting for the light my whole life. But I could not, all due to my childhood, I could not ask for help from God. And I never prayed. Probably because when I was 6 or 7 years old, I prayed for help, and it didn't fucking come. So I didn't want to get let down no more. I felt feeling from God. It's not even really words, but I felt that feeling from God to just put my pistol down and that everything's going to be all right. And since then, it's really easy to not do drugs and get drunk all the time and fight all the time when you have something to believe in.
Yeah. Just like
you get what I'm saying?
Oh, just like being in the military. I mean, it is a young man's game. And, as we're pushing 50.
I know. Can you believe it,
Yeah,
bro?
It's crazy, man. Time flies. But staying connected to those guys and not being ashamed to say, you know what, I don't carry a rifle anymore. I now sit protected by this generation of warfighters, and I'm proud of it. And you know what? I have faith in them because guys like you, like we trained these guys. So if we weren't confident in what we were doing to train these guys, and now sit protected under that blanket of freedom from this young millennial generation that gets raked across the coals. Like, I love them, man. Anybody that badmouths them, I'm the first one to step up and go to bat.
Right on, brother.
I think that
you're exactly right. You know what blew me away? To your point, this is the best thing I've done in entertainment since I started. Last year's Super Bowl commercial, I military advised and assistant directed and ran this commercial with grunts from freaking 3.7 out of 29 Palms. These cats were so fired up, so tough. They reminded me just of me and my guys when we were freaking young grunts.
Yes.
They were hard, disciplined. The platoon sergeant was a sergeant, 23 years old, already done 4 deployments.
Wow.
Hard. I was so impressed, and I brought one of my actor brothers, Jai Courtney, who would be my lead in a film that you guys will be seeing coming out this year. We just got picked up by Lionsgate, called Semper Fi.
Nice.
And I am the military advisor in it. I act as the platoon commander. Jai comes out. The Marines were so stoked to take pictures with everybody. And my director, Henry Alex Rubin, French, Jewish, from France. His English is impeccable. Has been by my side since Alexander Skarsgård, who was a Swedish Marine, introduced us 7 years ago. He makes sure I'm always working. How it works on set is and this was a $5 million commercial, and we shot for 4 days because it was a MACTAF.
Yeah.
We had rotary wing, fast movers coming off the ship. It was rad when you watch that thing. It gets me motivated as hell. I mean, right? I'm ready to re-enlist when I watch this thing. And the actors in town, because they're Marines, they're not SAG or anything like that. They were going to eat like medium chow.
Right.
And the medium chow is still better than anything at the freaking chow hall, right?
For sure.
No, Henry Alex Rubin said, no. They're getting the gourmet. So they had each meal made for them there.
Right on.
Seeing these Marines eat real good chow, they were killing themselves for me for 4 days straight.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It just got me so fired up. I absolutely have faith in my young warfighting community and my young military. I absolutely have faith because it's a legacy that we were a part of. Now they're part of. And when we got a Republican as a president, we're going to be in war sometime. So these guys are going to be there,
You want to feel real old is come down to the depot in San Diego where it all began for me just over 30 years ago.
Wow.
When I stepped on those yellow footprints.
Wow.
I stood in front of the drill instructor school and spoke to those guys. And I looked out in the sea of faces, staff sergeants, and they all look young. Because, when we would go through boot camp, it's like, these guys are guys, right? Instructors at Buds.
Yeah, the oldest, hardest dudes. And now we're those guys.
Yeah.
He became
humbling.
Jeff became an instructor and mentor in the SEAL and the Frog community, and that was where in Coronado, bro. Where were you doing that?
Yeah, actually down in Imperial Beach, I was running all the combatives and prisoner handling training, and it was just awesome. These guys are so smart and
switched
tough,
on,
and they're about 12 months into training by the time they would get to me, so they were just so locked on, like real small classes.
Yeah.
it was like being a coach for these guys. I had them for 1 week, and it was just super intense, mixed martial arts, but from an operational standpoint, and then all the prisoner handling as well, and muscle striking, and it was just awesome. They were so smart. They were basically turned these guys into MMA fighters in 1 week, and it was so impressive.
On top of the sea, air, and land, on top of everything else, on top of all of it. It's like just another layer on that freaking banana split that we call being a warrior. You know what I mean? It's got all kinds of
banana split.
Right.
They could wrestle, they could box, they could, throw knees and elbows like there was no tomorrow. Just so efficient with the training. And
there's something more that you do, though. I mean, you're a soulful guy. You can see it, you hear it when you talk. That's not sea, air, and land. That's spirit. So talk about that. How do you impart that on guys that are like, let's go to Danny's and fight people?
Yeah. I was so blessed. In some ways, I was in a special I was in a special Marine Corps my whole career. I lucked out, or God, or karma. It must have been, I'm sure God and karma. Recon was not even a freaking primary MOS, and you know how hard it was to get over there. I had sergeants that would stand at parade rest for me when I, as a young Lance Corporal, was now in 0321. These sergeants were drill instructors, rangers, scout snipers, combat deployments, and they had to wait 8 years to get a chance to come to Recon. It also made our unit so rich in operational experience and maturity. I got hooked up. Marine Corps loves to give the freaking green weenie. I was an Ironman and honor grad of boot camp, and then most motivated Ironman. I had so many awards from School of Infantry, I couldn't even carry them all. Right, I got my K-bar, and what do they do? Of course,
shocking. Rudy gets the gung ho award. I don't see it. Mr. Motivation.
I'm serious. Later after a year in Recon, and 1 year in the Marine Corps, I was already a Recon Marine and a Scout Sniper and a combat diver, and had been to SEER. And that was my first year in. Bang, 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 and they called me Lance Corporal. Happy to be here forever. Because I was. After I kicked ass at School of Infantry, they freaking hooked me up at Horno on Camp Guard. So I was on Camp Guard for 3 weeks. All these young knuckleheads trying to
tell everybody what Camp Guard is.
I don't think people can get how hard of a
what's the civilian equivalent of Camp Guard? Like, there's a cop who's like chasing out bad guys, and then there's like the parking meter maid. Like, that's I think that's the best analogy I could use.
Inside a guarded base, inside a guarded camp, inside a guarded armory, then you're going to have another guard in there. That's how we do it, redundancy. My young Marines, of course, all trying to freaking escape to Tijuana, and back then in Oceanside, there was some libo to be had. You had prostitutes on the corner, strip joints everywhere.
Yeah, it wasn't all gentrified like it is now.
Not at all. Yeah. It was hardcore. It was O-Dog back then. It wasn't Oceanside. I mean, it was pandemonium in the ring, and I'm trying to keep these guys from killing each other, killing themselves. You name it. I never left the freaking squad bay for 3 weeks because I'm in charge of all of the reliefs and the radios. And so all I did is pull-ups and martial arts and bodyweight squats and calisthenics in the little squad bay. And Recon came through. The corporal of the guard was so impressed with me. When Recon came through to do the indoc, he told them, hey, we got a guy that I think should come try out. And when the Recon guys came up, Sergeant Sparks, Roger Sparks, who's now the highest decorated pararescueman of all time, he gave the brief. Shit. I was a second-class swimmer at best because I was never in the ocean. I was hiding in the back behind the racks, and all my homies from boot camp and School of Infantry, they were still calling me the guide. The guide can do it. The guide can make it to Recon. I'm like, oh, no, I can't, dog. I don't know how to swim. I was scared to death. But out of shame, I had to go do it because all my guys believed I could do it. And
so if you don't believe you can swim, swimming's not something like running on the beach and you go out and practice. Like, swimming's fucking hard if you don't know how to do it.
Damn straight.
And it's always funny. You're a SEAL, you know how to swim. You get coached from above the water, but all the action's underneath the water.
Well said. As is most of life.
Yeah. Right.
You get coached up here, but it's...
I feel an iceberg analogy coming up.
Yeah, right? It totally is. Yep. Well, I was so dominant. I was running 1720 PFTs.
That's 3 miles. 3 miles.
Yep, 3 miles. I call it the 3 mile sprint, which is a 3 mile gut check because you are in pain. Who can the most in 3 miles and get the lowest time? Of course,
And there's always one fat guy who smokes, and he still crushes
it's true,
an 18-minute 3-mile run.
Chris Nolan
and you're like,
is my
I
guy.
hate that guy.
There's always a guy like that.
Yeah, where I'm like training, like in the infantry, like it's hard to train and maintain that peak performance to do that type of fitness.
And to be strong, too.
Yeah.
To be strong and fast. And then 20 pull-ups, no problem, crunches, all that. And then the obstacle course. We ran it 3 times, and every time you'd line up, 2 dudes would be next to you. And every time you went through it, the slowest guy was out, out, out. And then we had to do the ruck run. And the ruck run was 6 miles with 60 or 70 pounds on our back. And I was number 1. So I was going as fast as I could up ahead, praying that when I got to the pool, I would have a chance to breathe and watch what people are doing there, training to see if I could figure it out. I didn't even know what the hell I was doing.
That's a plan. Jesus Christ.
At that time, and I had a pretty tough childhood. I had a hard childhood. I was a freaking kickboxer. I trained with China's national team. When I got in that water with the boots and freaking utes, and the water hose getting smashed in my face, and then sharks taking me down. That 30 minutes was the hardest 30 minutes of my entire life.
Yeah, because make no bones, they are trying to drown you.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
And
they don't
the
worry
sharks
about it
are not real
can,
sharks, by the way. They are the most highly trained Marine Corps swimmers, and they will try to drag you to the bottom.
For sure, because they are also so confident they can raise you back, they can bring you back to life.
Yeah.
Which I had to do a couple times eventually when I was one of those guys.
With the slap of life. With the slap, they bring you up, they put you there, and wow, wake up. All right.
And there's no congratulatory hugs afterwards. It's like, get back in the pool.
Also, some of the weakest dudes that, just the weak bodies and eye of the gerbil, when they are done, they grab a hold of that ladder, and it'd take 3 recon dudes to try to get them off. They're not going back. You know what I mean? When I'm not going back in the water. Somehow I make it. I just knew it was all God and Zen Buddhism, and that it was working through me, and I just stayed with it, man. And by the way, I went to ARS in Virginia Beach, and that was so hard.
Before you get into that, though, I just want to point out, because you're going 100 miles an hour and the audience is chilling, people are doing this training and they're drowning.
Oh, yes.
AKA dying.
Yeah, some die.
Yeah.
I've witnessed 3 in my time.
Yeah. Well, and then the people, you have to have someone else bring you back in some way, whether it's a slap
and
or
sometimes they don't come back.
Right. So, I mean, that's not this is some scary shit. It's intense.
Real. Yeah, this is a real deal.
And this isn't a time, too, like, just to put things in perspective, is,
it's the late 90s,
again,
brother.
Yeah, this is the late 90s. So when we were talking about, the transformation of the reconnaissance community going from force recon, which was like our Marine Corps versus Special
Delta.
Forces, and then we had battalion recon, and then we've evolved into MARSOC, and now we get big Tampa money to be part of SOCOM community.
Sure.
I mean, this is an evolution, and when you talk about, let's just say 20 years.
You're right. It's been a meteoric.
That's a short time.
Absolutely.
You say 20 years, and some people are like, oh, that's forever. No, that is light years for military transformation.
And now with the Marine Raider, which has its roots back in the
World War
40s,
II.
so it's like come full circle and back around.
Full circle,
like,
brother.
So cool.
By the time I made it through ARS, and ARS was so very hard. I'd never shot weapons before. In the Omaha Home for Boys, we don't have guns. I'm a farm worker. I damn sure know how to wrestle and play football and know how to freaking box. But no, I didn't know. I didn't ever use land navigation and a MGRS map, and I learned all this stuff like overnight and getting crushed by the toughest dudes in the whole freaking Marine Corps. Our instructors were freaking gods to us. Crawford, I guess he got his master guns. Crawford, who was the staff NCOIC at BRC forever, Crawdaddy. He was a sergeant, and he was my TAC instructor. And he always called me Leatherneck. Hey, Leatherneck, Warhammer, Leatherneck. So physically dominant. I remember on the ruck runs, because an instructor always leads them, he had his freaking, all of us had M16s. I don't know if you know this, Jeff, but yeah, we never have rubber rifles. It's because we always have to be thinking about cleaning. And it really does get you over in combat, that mindset of always improving your position. He's got a car 15. I've never seen a car 15. And we're ruck running, and I'm like, and only the first 10 guys pass. Everybody else fails. And my instructor is ruck running and looking for targets as he's doing it. I'm like, shit, I can barely hold on to my rifle down here, much less. I was just like, "Shah, this is a whole nother evolution of the Jedi." And as I excelled, my other students who'd been in the Marine Corps 5, 6, 7 years hated my guts. "You piece of shit, you don't rate to be here. You know how hard we had to work to get here. Just because you can run and just because you do more pull-ups, you know what, we're going to fucking kill you." I was on duty every night. It was tough love, but it was all worth it.
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business, or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
Looking for targets as he's doing it. I'm like, "Shit, I can barely hold on to my rifle down here, much less." I was just like, "Shah, this is a whole nother evolution of the Jedi." And as I excelled, my other students who'd been in the Marine Corps 5, 6, 7 years hated my guts. "You piece of shit, you don't rate to be here. You know how hard we had to work to get here. Just because you can run and just because you do more pull-ups, you know what, we're going to fucking kill you." I was on duty every night. It was tough love, but it was all worth it.
So all that training, during those, what we'll call formative years of molding, training, building the muscle memory, and there's none of this, what we see on social media or mainstream media about war. We weren't a nation at war.
No.
And you're training all the time. You're thinking, what is this all for? And
sometimes that was so hard. It was so abstract to think about back then.
That.
I did. You're right.
And then September 11th happens, and you're part of the task force that are literally the tip of the spear, going from ship to shore into Afghanistan, and that was
the longest ship to shore invasion of history.
And you were that was BLT 1-4 or
we were
BLT 1-1.
I think it was 1-1. It was 1-1. Really squared away grunts. 15th MEU, platoon of recon cats, platoon of SEALs, their EOD attachment.
So
platoon.
So you're another example of be careful what you wish for, you just might get it, and that's war.
For sure.
A war we've been at for 14 years. So now you're literally to the spear flying in.
And you know what's interesting? I always had a feeling that I was going to go to war. As a matter of fact, my Kung Fu teacher from China, right, the legend, Chun Man Sit, he calls me Ludi because...
Chu, if you're listening, what's up, brother?
He says, Ludi. He says, Ludi. But after all my years of fighting, and when I got back from Fallujah and Ramadi, I said, Sifu, did you think, weren't you afraid that I wouldn't come home? Ludi, it is written, I have no student, you come to me, then doing competition, now I'm famous. And then, of course, you have to go to Marine Corps and go to war, be war hero, and come home. It's got to be there.
It's like Kung Fu
look at this again.
It's all destiny.
It had to happen. It had to happen. But there was times in the early days where I was blessed that the older cats in the unit had been in Somalia, Desert Storm, Haiti.
But that resident knowledge was widely non-existent.
Oh, it was. You're right. It was rare.
And when you think about it, come full circle, although we still have, some footprint in Iraq and Afghanistan and the Horn of Africa, when I go around the Marine Corps, you're still very connected to active duty units. As you look at that resident expertise, the Crawfords of the world, or the Reyes that have been there. Yeah. You look out into that sea, and those stacks of ribbons keep getting smaller and smaller because they don't have that combat experience.
It's that wild. When we look at our stuff, we're stacked. We had tons of experience, and bless the Marine Corps and the United States military. One thing that keeps me very humbled and grounded, as opposed to being attracted to the succubus of glory, because it's so attractive to be in your own glory. I never once, even on those hard first few invasions I did, never once had to worry about not having enough ammunition. I never once had to worry about my close air support having fuel. Never once. I had the weight of this entire country behind me. And every admin, clerk, every freaking person that worked in the whole military that provided what it takes for me to do my thing, respect them.
Did you have, for lack of a better term, blind faith in the system and the training that it would carry you through, not only going into Afghanistan, but in Fallujah?
No, I was scared at first.
Yeah.
I was scared.
Because how old were you?
I was a young Marine, but I was 27. 27 when I was...
You were an old Marine.
Yeah, or I was a young Marine. I was an old man.
Yeah, because most are 18, 19
Yes,
year olds.
I joined at 26. But I still look better than everybody. Still.
That's the smoothie talking.
Yeah.
Right.
I was scared mostly about this. And remember, I fought for General Mattis personally. He flew, bro, I mean, this was wild times. We created Camp Rhino. It was an opium factory that we came in and hit from the air and then aggressed through with Recon by Fire and overtook and killed the freaking tangos and put them in burn pits and then started running a Recon Operations Center and a jock and a talk for everybody else. We had the Aussie SAS, we had SEALs, we had Recon. And the first time I'd ever seen contractors, I don't even know what they were, but they looked like dudes like us now, except they had really slick weapons, and I could tell that they were once guys like me because of the way they could talk and their confidence. It was so wild. It was so dynamic. But General Mattis was the new commander of the 15th U. He flew in. And remember, we had Stinger missiles. The Tangos had Stinger missiles still back then.
Yeah.
And Grail systems. And I saw these birds coming in and chaff, incoming stuff. They were being engaged in chaff, and they were freaking, yanking and banking. I'm like, who the fuck is coming all the way in here? This shit is crazy. We're here to fight. Who's risking this shit?
Let me give some clarity to the audience. All that stuff, ganking and banking and chaff and all that. Yeah. This means that as these helicopters flying in, there's a fight.
Yes.
They're trying to shoot that thing out of the sky.
Yes.
And so you guys are like, why the fuck is someone flying in?
Like,
evasive maneuvers.
Right.
Yes. I was like, but I was so busy. This is what I was afraid of. Me fucking up my job. I was a recon team of 5 men. 3 of us were scout snipers. My team leader was Sergeant A.J. Hull, who just retired from MARSOC before he came to recon. Ranger, scout sniper at Stay, drill instructor. I mean, these people were amazing. And I was in charge of, this will date me too. You'll remember this. You'll remember this. You will not. This probably did not happen in your time. I still had to, in combat then, this is before the Blue Force Tracker, I had to do my routes on acetates.
Oh my God.
And do them in triplicate. And because I'm the illustrator and the best field sketcher of the whole Marine Corps at the time, I was in charge of making everything look so pretty. And then I had to camouflage all of our gear because we were in woodland gear. And so I made a paste out of the pita bread flour I found and then sprinkled sand on it. So I was busy. And this is R2P2. We have 6 hours. We get the warning order and 6 hours to build the mission and then brief. And my team leader's got to brief, right? And this is not schoolhouse no more.
No, this is rapid response planning process is as graduate level as it gets. And this is not just it starts with the 4-man team going down range that are your eyes and ears that have an immense amount of firepower at their fingertips. And the SEAL teams can relate this too because they predominantly operate in small teams, but they are really that key in the hole that opens the door
for sure
for the rest of the MAGTAF, that Marine Air Ground Task Force, which is the shipping, the helicopters, the fast movers.
Isn't that wild? That responsibility that we have?
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility.
And it is an urgency to everything you have to do because all of that stuff is in a funnel coming your way.
My team leader is so blasted getting his brief and PowerPoint together because he's only got 6 hours to do all this and coordinate everything.
Yeah.
He doesn't even pack his own rock. He trusts me. I pack his rock. So I had all those things in my mind. These freaking birds are coming in, chaff's going everywhere, freaking missiles are flying, and I'm doing the last bit of camouflaging of our rocks. Oh, I'd never driven a Humvee before. Now I got to get in a Humvee and drive. I'm the point man. I have to navigate with a one nod, one naked on.
Oh my God!
And never drove a Humvee before.
How were those nods back then in that era?
To me, I thought they were rad. I mean, compared to what we got now. No, I think it was. What is the single?
The sevens?
Yeah.
The mono?
We had 7 Bravos.
7 Bravos.
The other, what was the one that next was just one ocular?
There was an 18 and a 17.
I think it might have been a 17 or a 14.
So but the fives, when you drove, you had a hand out it was you couldn't do anything.
And this is Afghanistan. There's cliffs.
Oh, Jesus!
You said it before. We really there's a lot of things we're great at. We really were kind of. There are times especially in a dynamic situation in combat, you're really making it up as you go along.
Totally. We didn't have a DAC for
this.
But
you don't do it blindly. I mean, this is based off of the training experience and the gear and the leadership at every level, whether it's a 27-year-old sergeant or an 18-year-old lance corporal.
My platoon sergeant was a Anglico guy years in the grunts, 15 years in the grunts. Physically broke down by then. 15 years in the Marine Corps is a long time on the body, in the grunts. But my platoon commander, a legend, Colonel Dill, Eric Dill, Mustang, runner from UT, super cowabunga with his surfing, and really into, you asked about spirituality earlier, bro. I taught yoga and Tai Chi to the platoon.
Eric was your platoon commander?
Yes.
He's a good friend of mine.
He's the guy that made me who I am, brother.
Eric, what's up?
Yes, he's the man that made me who I am. Make me bring freaking tears to my eye. He's one of the first guys to come to Force Blue to support me. I'm going to see him in Hawaii. I knew him when he just married Ginger. Him and Ginger had only been together not too long. And before the kids and the crumb snatchers. It was just immense, and everybody was vibrating at that super high level. And then I see like people acting kind of strange around me as I'm camouflaging my ruck, and like everybody's standing up and going in parade rest. And I look over my shoulder, I see some freaking glint on a collar, and oh shit, I better stand up. It's freaking General Mattis. He flew in just to make sure his first recon platoon that he's sending into combat, and his first team that's going outside the wire.
Was he a colonel?
And no, I think he's a general.
He's general.
Was he a general? Was he a
The
colonel?
meat colonel, full colonel.
Oh, he was a colonel.
Commander.
You're right. Was he a colonel?
Yeah, full bird colonel.
Yep.
And for those who don't know, that was Mattis's first time in combat.
Yes.
Like a lot of people think like this guy cut his teeth and like this is it, man. Like this
training
is
his whole
entire
life.
career.
Committed, sacrificed.
Aside from, well, I take that back. As a lieutenant colonel, I believe he was in Desert Storm.
Sure, but this is a whole nother animal. What we're about to step off into.
Yes, yeah, a whole new nature of warfare.
That's right. But he risked
like
his
that.
life just to be there, because this is the precepts of leadership. So I grew up this way in the Marine Corps. The leadership by example, and you do not expect, you inspect. He wanted to make sure, and he did. He checked this out before he sent his very first team, which was my team. I know. It just, very powerful to me. So I felt like I was always in this magical space. And it was beautiful out there, too. And it was also dangerous, and it was crazy. And when we freaking killed some cats with our sniper asset and CAS, and then forced to interdiction that we did the freaking sniper overwatch, and the guardian angels dropping bodies, and then they L-shaped next to the vehicle and ripped them all up. I mean, it was pandemonium in the ring. I still built a pull-up bar there in the dang hooch, and we were PTing our asses off and fighting and having the time of our life, and kicking it with the Aussie SAS. They were trading their super delicious rations for our MREs, because their rations you got to cook and stuff, and tactically they needed MREs. And then freaking Dev comes in. Then these dudes that look like us now, except with, well, more like me, longer hair, long-haired studs with, look like they'd all been shopping at freaking REI. You know what I mean? And so shit's wild. I mean, it's a very dynamic environment. And
so how did that first experience in Afghanistan and taking all that, and then you redeploy, and then you recock, and then you're back in the rear, and you got to process all this.
See,
you got to train more guys.
I never got to process. In some ways, I was blessed that I stayed in the kill, completely executive the whole time, because I'd only been home after, I think, 13 months. The whole deployment lasted, because we were on a ship. I'd only been home maybe 2 months before I started hearing we're going to go to Iraq. Little things. So I call Eric, and by the way, we call him ECD. His name's Eric C. Dill. His rap name, because he loved the Beastie Boys, we call him East Coast Destruction. And he's because we always would listen to Sabotage before we go insert. And,
he's probably about to pick up Colonel right now too. Oh my God, they grew up so fast.
Yeah, he's so awesome. He's such a rad dude. I call ECD. He's at Washington D.C. by then, I think, and he's like, Rudy, don't worry about anything. I mean, that's just a bunch of talk. Now, if you start getting issued mop suits and having to do gas mask training, then maybe, it's getting serious. The next week, sure enough, we're getting issued on my gloves. So then I'm ramped up. Wife is on hold. Life is on hold. I'm full Marine Corps, and I'm loving it. The tough grunts from 1-1, we are, and Captain Fick, Lieutenant Fick, and Gabe Garza.
Nate Fick, yeah.
Yep, Nate Fick. Gabe Garza, Chafin, Aspera. We took the best guys from the grunts, put them through school, and now we're in teams, and now we're going to go and invade Iraq, getting new technology, getting new optics and weapon systems, training all the time. And our platoon was the shit hot platoon, because we were the only ones in modern combat. Yeah. And now we've got to fight as a whole battalion. And we're only a battalion in name. Right. We only had 3 platoons of operators. And we've got to, originally we were going to do a suicide. So I wasn't that scared. I just believed that, of course, we were all going to die. But I wasn't that scared about it because the word on the street is it's just going to be tons of freaking nerve agents and mustard gas. And we're going to be so far ahead. There's no way, if we get freaking hit, that we'll be able to get to the rear and be cleaned up. You know what I mean? There's just no way.
Just let everybody know what a mop suit is, too. Yeah. It's like wearing a charcoal infused quilt on your whole body with a gas mask.
Yeah. And rubber rain boots on your boots.
Galoshes that are just... It is a significant emotional event just getting in and out of the fucking thing.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
Yeah, everything's sealed with a gas mask and a blower on the inside.
You look like you're from Mars. Man.
Yes. And I have...
Wait, did you guys have blowers in your era with the mop suit? Or was it just...
No.
It was hot and sweaty. You're like, this thing isn't even stuck to my face because I'm so fucking sweaty in here.
Remember, it was like...
Yeah, you had to blow and suck.
The worst part is taking it off, and you got to protect the thing. Like you have to be. It's almost like you have to be trained to be a holiday folder at Gap because you have to fold the thing back up perfectly, and put it back in the case, and not have it all crinked. Because one crink or cut in the thing, and like you're
bro. And then when those rubber boots come on, I have bad feet to this day. I sweated so much that it just ate up my feet, and they stink. And so I have to always try. That's why I'm barefoot as much as I can. And when I'm in the ocean, they're better. But it was just wild times, and now we're,
So let's because we could sit around and tell war stories all day.
But I think it's kind of cool though culturally for people that did not grow up in this era to think about these little intimate details, and we give them a framework. Kind of like if we get to talk to the Vietnam guys or the Korean guys, you know what I mean? It just that intimate knowledge that we wouldn't know any other way. Except for the brothers that were there.
But it is funny because even in your time going, being like the pointy end of the tip of the spear, and then within, 20 months, they're having best lawn competitions in Iraq, like on camps. And it's so different. They're like, you can't speed around. That's Indian country right there, 20 meters away.
For sure it is.
At this camp. So we're not going to drive slow right here. And there's a sergeant major going, you have to drive slow because it's dangerous if you drive fast.
Yes, it was
so different, the worlds, when they kept colliding like that.
Once there was enough death, though, everybody got hit. There was very little admin bullshit going on at Camp Blue Diamond or at the MAC at Camp Felucia, where I was running stuff out of Shark Base. Because there was so much incoming rockets.
What year was that?
04.
Oh, yeah, it was bad.
It was hot. Bro, I had chow with those, really quickly, I had chow with those contractors in the morning that got strung up that day. As they were getting strung up, my platoon was chopped to CAG for an overwatch and sniper positions because they're going to do a direct...
I have to translate that. Chop to CAG means, for the audience, Delta Force is going to go grab those contractors off the bridge, and you guys are assigned to temporarily help Delta Force stay alive in the area.
That's right.
Chop to CAG to go get those guys off the bridge.
Little birds are flying over the top. Man, I haven't thought about this in a long time. Little birds coming, crossing over. I'm seeing masses of villagers, and then boom, a trail of smoke. Grail system blows a little bird right out of the top, right above me. Bam! Crash. CAG. They're all looking super cool like us now, with some modded out Vicks and some cool weapons. For about 1 second, which to me seemed like an eternity, they were like, not us. You know what we did? All our machine gunners started ripping up everybody and just started dropping bodies. And like CAG was like, but it was the Wild West.
It was
pandemonium in the ring, and then it was. Then the fucking collars were off, and it was rock and roll for 7 months straight.
You're probably like thousands per. That's the best descriptor of how things were. It was Wild West. And was full business attire to combat. Full gear to business casual to all these strange rangers, and you got interpreters mixed in there. You got contractors and
guys from state coming in.
It was NSA. Politicians and combat tourists floating around. You're like, get the fuck out of my battle space, because in 04 in Ramadi, I mean, that was the first battle of Ramadi. My battalion was there, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, and then after that, in 05, again, you've seen this from Afghanistan to the Fallujahs to the Baghdad to Ramadi. Is this sine wave of heavy fighting? Not so heavy fighting, but there's this median that there's always fighting.
Yeah,
we're always fighting at some pocket of resistance in that country, and
Always.
You've gotten a dose of just a little bit of all of it.
And I loved it. I loved it because I was with my best friends in the world. And we
So
were highly motivated.
how do you replace that? And I'll give you my example.
Tell me, bro.
I always tell people it's the absence of that friction that I miss the most.
Of course, bro.
And that's the hardest thing to deal with. And people say, well, how do you replicate that? And my way, I don't know, maybe it's through entertaining, maybe it's through writing, maybe it's through sharing other people's stories, because everybody has a story. And I don't know, this guy might have been Delta Force sitting right here, and this guy, you just never know who's sitting around you.
Everybody's got a history. Everybody. Brooklyn, Brooklyn
was a pretty bad hood. That's
And which part? I used to live in Greenpoint. What area of Brooklyn were you in, brother? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's still a little rough over there, but it's gotten a lot better.
You just never know. Those shared experiences and that absence of it, I think, is what is your new replacement for that? And just like you know, sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's alcohol, and it takes hitting, you know. For me, it was smashing my Jeep in a ditch and almost killing myself.
I gotcha.
To realize,
talk about motorcycles. Yeah. Motorcycles have killed more. Man. I think Recon Marine
racing my bike at 120 miles an hour. You know, and
I would drop my bike at 130 and put my feet on the ground.
So you're always
just to make sure I was home.
To do that. And
can you imagine? Crazy.
It was great. And SEALs, you said the same, brother, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Motorcycle mishaps.
I mean, especially here in SoCal, man, that they're splayed out all over the interstate. It's just you're constantly trying to replicate that type of adrenaline and replace it. But for you, you know, we could sit here and talk about, oh, woe is me, I had a bad spot in my life, but how you got better through that and your connection now. Yes. And as my good friend Josh Collins always says, connection is the cure.
Well said. Well said. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, I steal it all the time. Josh, if you're listening, brother, we love you. Josh is a stand-up paddleboarder to Alaska, like 350 miles, and he's... You know, Josh has got his own demons, and everybody does. But taking that experience and growing from it, I think right now where you're at is, you know, we come down and you guys are hanging out on the beach, like tossing pretty much the size of heavyweight punching bags up, doing curls with them on the beach.
And having the time of our life, listening to Stranglehold just on repeat. You know what I mean? And then Kaj comes by. I mean, another leader in the freaking SEAL community and in the veteran evolution community. It's rad. I look at us all now here together.
Yeah.
You're in a real position, though. We all are. We all have our part is to really share that. And I always say, you know, share not only the wins in your life, but share the losses. Yes. I think to younger generation or even our own that see you. See what you do on TV or on social media. Like, oh, well, I could never do that. Yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? How do you do that?
What do you want to do? Yeah. Let's find a way to empower that.
Yeah, and I think we're in a great position to share that. And let me give an example, just so people don't think, like, I went through Rudy's booking agent or something. I'm like, no, I fucking called them and I texted them. I says, hey, will you do this for one of my friends? He's like, yeah. Wait, hold on, let me back up. The first one is like, Rudy... We sound like a couple of high school teenage girls. No offense to high school teenage girls, because I have one, but he's like, hey, man, I sent you a message on Facebook, and I go, yeah, I friended you, but you got too many followers. He goes, oh, and sorry, Joe, the Joe Smiths of the world, but like, he goes, I'll delete a bunch of people. And, so we start communicating, like, it's just...
For sure, it's intimate, it's personal. Everything we've done is personal, you know what I mean? However, when I had to go try to call my Facebook, I shit you not. Yes. And you get it because you're a woo guy. I knew every one of them. And I felt sad to let people I'd only met one time.
And I told them not to. I go, just fucking call me. So we start texting, and then we're finding every other platform. But it's just, you know, I knew Rudy was a guy that just, you know, loves to help people.
Damn straight. That makes you happiest in the world.
Same.
You know, I spoke at Northwood Gratitude, and then I said, hey, Rudy, would you like to speak and help out? This is an amazing monument, Northwood Gratitude Memorial. And he says, absolutely. Now he's got another love affair with Pam Rogan. Pam, hi Pam.
Yes. She loves some Rudy Reyes. She loves some Rudy Reyes.
She's like, Scott, do you know any ugly people? I'm like,
thank you, Pam.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pam.
So, but it's through that, like giving, and I think
the bonds of brotherhood are forever, bro.
But it's not just within this network as we sit here in Venice, you know, having a podcast with our homies from Brooklyn, you know, giving shout outs, but within our own community is powerful, but you even say this all the time. If you're not helping someone else, you're not helping yourself.
No.
And I would totally get that tattooed on my body if I was into tattoos. And I know You have a bunch of ink.
I have a couple.
I have none.
All significant.
24 years, none.
And that is a rebel. You're more of a rebel than I am.
Rudy, when you have a body like this, you don't want to cover it with ink, man.
That temple, it's
when
gorgeous.
you're trying to camouflage this. Like, who wants to see all this? Like, Rudy, because he never wears a shirt, so at least mar your body with some tattoos. So I never did
so
it.
people don't throw up.
But I was that Lance Corporal drunk in Oceanside, $400 in my hand. I wanted
really?
And they're
you
like,
didn't even get the EGA, huh?
Nothing.
Well,
not a drop.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you got it in here. I mean, I got it in here too.
You got enough for me.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that connection, I think, is powerful, and you set an example. How does that connection sustain you? Not just through force flu, but through your charity work you do and everything.
Thank you, brother.
Training.
Well, when I found out about your Pam Rogan and Gold Star families, short after that, recon brother of mine from Afghanistan said, mass fallen heroes, the brothers that have been killed in Massachusetts in war. One recent ranger, his wife and his 3 kids were taken care of and raising money. Can you come run the Boston Marathon? I had not run for 8 months. I show up, knock that motherfucker out of the park. 3 hours and 50 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
On shoes given to me that morning because I don't even have tennis shoes. I always work out in boots or, I'm a minimalist. I'm always trying to lead by example in the way that I'm going to take the least amount from the world and give the most. 2 days ago when we were at Brian Callen's, big shout out to Brian Callen.
Brian, what up?
Yep, and Joe Carnahan and Amir Peretz. So Amir, a legend Krav Maga gentleman, brought Krav Maga here, Israeli, hard dog, amazing human being, warrior. Rudy, you have this energy. Rudy, how do you get the energy? I have all the energy because of when you're giving, it's like comes back 20 times more. Yeah. This is what keeps me going, and it's so rad. And it's just so awesome that now, look what we're doing. We've got warriors, we've got commandos, we've got artists, we've got storytellers, we've got producers. Jeff has been so kind to introduce me to some of his people. We talked with Mike Tyson's people, which he just did the Mike Tyson podcast.
Nice.
Awesome,
Hot boxing with Mike Tyson.
That's
it was
right.
such a amazing,
that's awesome
moment.
And look at all the quantum good that's happening.
Yeah.
I would recommend to our brothers and sisters that are struggling with their post-traumatic stress or with the hole or the vacuum. We now live in a beautiful era of instant media connection. Use the social media to get a hold of your teammates or find new ones. You will notice when you reach your hand out and you need some help, there'll be 5 hands reaching
For sure.
out to you. That would be my advice. Next, get into your physical, mental, and spiritual fitness. Because when we train, we change the chemistry in our bodies and we're changing our thinking. After I train, I feel that everything is possible. That's the next precept. I have four legs on my table. On that table, when those legs are strong and balanced, I can sit whatever I want on top of it, or I can sleep underneath it as a shelter. And my 4 table legs are physical, spiritual, mental, fitness, connecting with team, brotherhood, community, Mother Nature. You must be involved with Mother Nature. It heals. And the last is mission. If you have those 4, there's nothing at all that can stop you. And that's what I do. And if I'm missing one of those, this is why I'm a much stronger man now than ever before. If one of those table legs is wobbly or has been whittled down or attrited, I am now the strongest I've ever been. Now I ask for help. I've never been able to do that. Now I ask for help. Hey, I'm having some struggle here. I need some help here with one of these, or 2 of these, or 3 of these. And immediately, again, I reach out once, 5 more hands come back.
Well, everybody sees what they see, whether it's on. We use social media in generalities, but we meet and we hang out with a lot of diverse people. But having gone through what you've been through and having achieved what you've achieved, tell me about the days where there's an absence of, let's just say, activity, or tell us about that one day where you feel that you're not going to work out. Do those still happen?
You know what? Some people think I'm crazy, and maybe I am. I'm stacked. Like every day of mine is stacked, I think, until August. I fly tomorrow to go shoot a television show in Minnesota, and then from there straight to Summer Strong and do a symposium on human performance and kick it with the best athletes and warriors in the world. Finally, I'm going to go to Kansas City. That's where I have my painting studio. I have not cleaned my room in 2 freaking years. I've only been there maybe about 4 times a year for a couple days.
Yeah.
I've got packages from all the brothers I've got survival equipment. I got knives. I got a grip of T-shirts from everybody. I got all kinds of stuff. I have not even got my room clean because I've been so engaged.
What happens when that day arrives, though?
Well,
and
I
you
asked
look
for
at your
help.
calendar,
I asked
and
for
it's
help.
completely empty.
That hasn't happened in a long time, but I know that this room thing for me is overwhelming. So I'm enlisting help. I got Jenny. Jenny's flying.
Mary Maids, if you're looking to sponsor an actor, athlete, philanthropist, there's a spot on the team for Mary Maids.
I'm telling you, I got another veteran coming in to help me, and she just says, "Rudy, let me help you clean your room." And
see, that's the antithesis of like being a squared away Recon Marine too. Is you're normally junk on the bunk, AJ squared away, and to let that go, that would grind me because people accuse me of having OCD. I call it not being a fucking slob.
That's what I call it. Well, I have my gear I travel with is always squared away. I have everything I need: my field gear, my survival gear, my Deemer box, and my
your key room's failing inspection.
Oh, brother, my Recon operations center. You know what?
Yeah.
That's it. Talk to old freaking master.
I'm going to send Anthony Spadero down there. He's going to do an inspection.
Sergeant Major Bell Abu, who's a legend in my time. And yes, he'd have so much fun just working out.
You can tell like a combat guy by the way he travels and everything. Like I zip my bag a certain way so that I know where everything is and everything else. And it doesn't look like I'm doing it, but I'm always doing it.
Some of those things never leave you.
I know. Yeah, and when someone zips a bag up, I'm like, no.
What's one thing that you did in the Marine Corps that you still do today? That like you just can't get rid of it. Like it may be one of those things like I wish I could get rid of that, but it's just
I don't know.
I will always do this.
Even today, we were just working out, Jeff and I out here. I am obsessed with keeping all of my things in one place because I'll forget something. And I'm obsessed with securing my things in my Deemer box and double and triple checking that I've locked down.
On the flip side, what's one thing you did in the Marine Corps that you're like, I am so fucking glad I did not have to do that anymore?
Well, we always used to have to freaking blouse our boots and roll our sleeves. Except
now he doesn't even wear pants.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. I did. I went with
a shirt
or sleeves. Sleeves. Who needs fucking sleeves?
You know what? Jeff's business, Sungalife. He makes these rad shorts and sungas, which are Brazilian swim trunks, which I rock, and some silkies. But his board shorts are a little longer than I'm used to wearing. So that's going to be my new business casual. So I'll wear the board shorts now, which has to get serious. You know, when I meet the president next month. In DC,
Peacock board shorts for the formal attire.
Yeah, plug your stuff real quick, Jeff, and then also tell us your thing that you still have from being a SEAL on the teams, and then the thing that you're glad you left behind.
Just the camaraderie, like the same way you go in and you form this brotherhood with everyone. You're going out and you're deploying and doing a mission. Now I have this incredible network of brothers: Rudy, Kyle Maynard, Mitch Aguiar, Mario Romero, David Vabora, all these guys doing all these incredible
things. Scott Huesing, Pete Turner.
Yes. We have all this incredible mission. You never want to have your memories be bigger than your dreams.
Yeah. What a great saying.
Do you have T-shirts with that on there?
You need to.
Yeah.
That's it. Because you know, sometimes we get caught in the past, especially as we get older. You know what? Me and this brother just went to, and much love to Gunnar Peterson and his brother Sean. He took us to the range. This young intel sergeant, actually she's got 7 or 8 years in, Erica, took us to the range, a private range north of here in Simi. The range people there were so excited to have us. And who were we with, brother? We were with the point guard. Is it the point guard?
No, the center. He's 7'2".
Center of LA Lakers.
Oh, okay.
His manager, his
cousin,
who's also a basketball player. And these black kids, because they were like kids compared to us in age, they were so excited and so respectful. We're teaching them how to jam magazines, workspace, how to freaking acquire sites, 4 basic weapons rules, everything. It was so rad that now we've got the LA Lakers with some commandos, some veterans. Eric is about ready to deploy in 2 weeks, and Gunnar Peterson, the trainer of the Stars. And here we are all together. This is that quantum good.
Yeah.
And the brotherhood, the community is going beyond just the military now. I think that's very critical for us to think this way as leaders in the warrior ethos, now into the citizen ethos. We have to understand that the biggest good, the quantum good, is to get everyone involved. And that's helped me lose some of my chip on my shoulder. I never thought I'd have one, but I damn sure did. It was very bitter sometimes because I thought everybody out here is just too casual. And also when Iraq fell, and my brothers who were killed fighting with me, and all the sacrifices and all the heartaches and pains, and I lost my sanity, I lost my wife, lost my son because of what I loved to do in Iraq, and I couldn't let it go. And then when that fell, I think that was another big part of me falling down too. I said, what did I give these beautiful years of my life to? My brothers are gone in battle. My brothers are gone here because they have no mission. And all we do is freaking get fucked up and fight. And I'm like, what was all this
so
for?
you're referring to May 2015, ISIS regains control.
Yes,
and you answered the question that a lot of people ask me is like, how do you feel about that, Scott? And I think you're kind of the opposite of me in that regard. But my answer is always, well, I don't think any of us were, and you may subscribe to this too, I don't think any of us were shocked because we didn't leave a significant footprint. We didn't stay there.
You're right.
And like we did in Germany, like we did in Japan.
I just used that example the other day, didn't I, bro?
And we were such poor stewards of our history that we didn't do that. And so there are guys that are like, God, what was it all for? I don't say that because I think we didn't need a fucking crystal ball to look and say like, well, if we don't do this, we'll be back here in 10 years. Sure as shit. And here we are back
exactly.
here.
We'll probably be back again. And Scott, to your point, Pete, Jeff.
And Rick.
Yep, and Matt. None of us were policymakers, man.
No.
I had to learn to get myself off the hook. And there was a big hole in my heart. I kept thinking, if only I would have done more. Maybe if I would have done more. Re-enlisted another time. Yeah. Maybe if I would have done more, we could do better. And of course, that's just not realistic. It wasn't my wheelhouse, and we were the doers. We were not the policymakers. So now, it's time for us to keep growing as we're growing, and I see us eventually getting into politics. I do. Look,
it's already happening.
Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah, Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah.
I think,
and Michael Waltz.
Yes, I think Nate Fick.
Yeah.
This is going to be the next growth, and first to do that, we have to be stable financially and be bankable again. As bankable as we were as warriors, we have to be bankable as citizens, and that's how it's easy for me to not. I'm in LA and New York all the time. My old drug dealers, they give you that good cocaine and they deliver it to you in bottles. It's really easy. And then I'm always with actors and celebrities and people with a lot of money. It's easy to be freaking clean and to be strong now because I have something I believe in.
Yeah.
There's nothing is enticing except success.
I think that's the best. I was going to ask you for some advice right there, but to anyone, but that is the best advice, Rudy. And I just want to say thank you, man. I mean, this has been awesome to hang. I mean, Jeff, Rick, and Matt. I mean, thank you. It's always good having everybody in house.
In all of our businesses, look, you're a writer, you're a speaker, you're a leader in media and communicator. Pete, you're bringing this message out. I have Force Blue, refitting and retooling our best amphibious warriors to now also redeploy. And the ultimate battle, which is to save the planet. This is so rad. This is what we're doing. Sungalife, after all the heavy war and all the heavy stuff Jeff's done, he said, I want color in my life. I want happiness in my life. So that's how he started Sungalife.
So if listeners want to find out more, where do they follow you at?
ForceblueTeam.org. Share and donate. Leonardo DiCaprio, if you're listening. James Cameron, please help us out. Get us fully funded because I need to train and teach more students. My divers are being paid by the state of Florida. That's all good. We're kicking ass. This has been nothing short of a miracle, but we need to make 100 more Force Blue science divers, and we need some funding for more schoolhouses because the scientists' time and the instructor's time is not free.
So that coral reef needs its help all over the world.
That's
like
right.
You're taking care of Florida, and that's incredible right now.
And that's just the ground zero, but it's for the whole world.
That's exactly time to spread it all around. The Great Barrier Reef needs a lot of help. Hawaii needs help everywhere.
He does a lot of sailing, been around the world lately, and he sees that, just as our veteran community was in crisis, we can be, and we're all such good presenters. We can make it look good, even if we're freaking falling apart. When you're out on that boat and and you've got a nice, good-looking woman with you, and it's a beautiful sunset, everything looks beautiful. But underneath the surface, they're in crisis. And I
the reef is defenseless. They need the special. It's incredible. Now they have special operators going down, combat divers going down and fighting on their behalf, trying to save them and bring them back.
Well, you guys are doing,
and everything you put in, you get back 100-fold.
Like, you guys are doing. You said you can make it look this way, but I'm here to tell anybody that's not sitting here right now in Venice, like, two of the most authentic people that like, in my life, and that's who I surround myself with now. Is I don't have time for talk to my agent or my assistant and call this and set up a fucking phone call. Man, you just do. And you guys are putting your heart into that, and everybody's got their thing. And when you care about that thing, I could teach you how to shoot better.
Yes, sir.
You could teach me how to run better, but I can't teach anybody how to care.
How to love better.
If you don't care and love what you do, which you guys are great examples of, I just want to say
thank you, brother.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Seriously.
You're welcome. Rockin'.
Semper Fi.
Do or die.
Hey, let's give one real quick before you cut us off to our boys at Mex US Mar, man. We love those guys.
I love Mex US Mar.
Yeah.
And I love seeing my Latino community coming up hard in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
In the old day, it was all the freaking country.
To the Mexican Mafia, you're listening. We're here in Venice with Rudy Reyes.
I love them so much, and they look up to me, and even though I look white. They are like, that is our brother. That's my Mexican-American brother. So, yes, rock on. And all my SEAL community, too. Everybody. JT from Article 15, very good friend of mine. Thank you, JT. Rick Elder, president of Beyond Army Ranger. Thank you.